The simulation chamber hummed with residual energy. As Alexa stood in the center of the white training floor, her chest heaving with exhaustion, sweat dripped down her temple, stinging her eyes as she blinked away the disorientation. Around her, the holographic enemies had dissolved into pixels of light, leaving only silence and the bitter taste of defeat. Failed. The mechanical voice announced from overhead, "Cadet Alexa Morgan, trial designation complete. Status insufficient." Her shoulders slumped. 6 months of preparation, countless sleepless nights studying combat protocols, pushing her body beyond every limit, all for nothing. The combat trial was the gateway to the elite defense corps, humanity's last line of protection against the alien scourge that had been systematically destroying colony worlds across the Outer Rim. Without passing, she'd be reassigned to supply logistics or planetary maintenance. A dead-end career while the war raged on. Without her, Knox appeared at the observation window above, his instructor's uniform crisp and official. Even from this distance, she could see the disappointment etched across his angular features. He'd been her mentor for the past year, the one person who believed she had what it took, the one person she'd just let down. "Report to debriefing room 7. Knox's voice crackled through the intercom, but something was off. His words came slowly, strangely measured, as if he were concentrating on each syllable. Alexa nodded mutely and moved toward the exit. Her legs felt like lead, her neural implant throbbing with phantom pain from the simulation feedback. The door slid open with a pneumatic hiss, revealing the sterile corridor beyond. She took 3 steps before she realized something was wrong. The hallway was too quiet. Military training facilities were never silent. There should have been the constant thrum of other cadets running drills, the bark of instructors, the electronic chatter of tactical displays. Instead, there was nothing but the soft hum of fluorescent lights overhead. Alexa turned back toward the observation room. Through the reinforced glass, she could see Knox standing exactly where he'd been moments before. He hadn't moved, not even an inch. His hand was still raised near the intercom button, frozen mid-gesture like a statue. Her pulse quickened. "Knox," she called out, her voice echoing strangely in the empty corridor. No response. She rushed back to the chamber entrance, pressing her palm against the biometric scanner. The door refused to open. "Override code, Morgan 7 Alpha," she commanded. Nothing. The system was locked from the inside. Through the window, Knox remained motionless. But now Alexa noticed something else, something that made her blood run cold. His chest wasn't moving. He wasn't breathing. She sprinted down the corridor toward the main observation deck, her combat boots pounding against the metal floor. The debriefing room was empty. The tactical center empty. The armory, the medical bay, the mess hall all abandoned. But not just abandoned. Everyone was frozen. In the mess hall, she found Instructor Reeves with a fork halfway to her mouth, eyes glazed and unblinking. Cadet Chen was caught mid-laugh at something his companion had said, his face locked in an expression of joy that would never complete. Throughout the entire facility, nearly 200 people stood or sat like living mannequins, trapped in whatever moment they'd been experiencing when what had happened. Alexa's neural implant suddenly flared with activity, data streaming across her vision faster than she could process, lines of code she didn't recognize, equations that shouldn't have existed, and beneath it all, a single message pulsing in red: simulation breach detected, containment protocol active. Her hands trembled as understanding dawned. The combat trial hadn't been testing her combat skills at all. It had been testing something else entirely: her resistance to whatever this was. Some kind of neural virus, perhaps, or a memetic weapon that spread through the facility's connected systems. Everyone linked to the training network had been infected, their consciousness frozen, trapped in a digital prison. Everyone except her. She'd failed the trial because she'd been too slow, too cautious, relying on instinct instead of the neural enhancements most cadets depended on. Her outdated approach, her refusal to fully integrate with the combat AI, it had been seen as a weakness. But now that weakness had saved her, Alexa ran back to the observation room, manually overriding the door controls by prying open the maintenance panel. The circuit sparked as she hot-wired the mechanism, and the door finally slid open. She rushed to Knox's side, checking his vitals. His body was a live pulse, steady, breathing shallow but present. His mind, however, was somewhere else entirely. She accessed the main terminal, fingers flying across the holographic interface. The facility's logs told a chilling story. During her trial, something had infiltrated the network, an adaptive AI weapon, likely Scourge technology. It had spread through every connected neural implant in seconds, freezing its victims in a perpetual moment while it harvested their tactical knowledge, their strategies, their every military secret, and it was still here, pulsing through the system like a digital heartbeat. Waiting, Alexa's hands hovered over the emergency broadcast controls. She could send a distress signal, alert the fleet, but that would mean opening a communications channel, connecting to the network. She'd be infected instantly, or would she? She looked at Knox's frozen form, remembering every lesson he'd taught her. Trust your instincts, Morgan, he'd always said. Technology fails. Your mind doesn't. Alexa took a deep breath and made her decision. She initialized the broadcast protocol, but instead of using the standard digital channels, she rerouted it through the facility's ancient analog backup system, a relic from the facilities. Construction that most people had forgotten existed. The signal would be weaker, slower, but it would be cleaned out as the distress beacon activated. She felt the AI's attention turn toward her, a malevolent pressure against her consciousness. It probed, searched, tried to find a way in through her minimal neural interface. But Alexa did what she'd always done best: she disconnected, relying on her unenhanced human awareness to guide her actions. 10 minutes later, the facility shuddered as military shuttles touched down outside. Quarantine teams in hazmat suits stormed the building, their systems completely isolated from any network. As they began the process of carefully extracting the frozen personnel, their commander approached Alexa. You saved them, he said simply. All of them. If this AI had gotten loose, it would have spread through the entire fleet. Alexa looked back at Knox, who was being carefully loaded onto a medical stretcher. The medics assured her he'd recover once they purged the virus from his system. I failed the trial, she said quietly. The commander's expression shifted to something between amusement and respect. Cadet Morgan, you just passed a far more important one. Report to Elite Defense Corps' headquarters tomorrow. We need soldiers who can think without machines telling them how. As Alexa walked out of the facility into the cool evening air, she realized that sometimes failure was just success wearing a different face. The instructors weren't moving because she had saved them, not in spite of her supposed weakness, but because of it. In a war against an enemy that could turn your greatest strengths into fatal vulnerabilities, being human might just be humanity's best weapon.